Welcome to the Eye Test. I am your host, Mark Coles. As usual, I am introducing my good friend Sean. How are you, sir?
You say Williams, you know what I'm saying? You can add you say your last name, you can say mine, you know what I'm saying? Just keep it even.
It's okay. It's okay. You've expressed
I mean,
yourself,
I'll be
and
honest with you, dog. If you're gonna introduce me like this, I might as well just introduce myself. You know what I'm saying? You might as well just say, look, I'm Marco. Hey, my co-host, go ahead and introduce yourself. Just do it that way. You know what I'm
uh,
saying? That way ain't
okay.
no beef, dog.
Listen,
Ain't no
man.
beef.
Listen. There is no beef. I'm. I am always my brother's keeper, and
But
you.
you're not doing what I'm asking of you
Yeah,
as a
you.
friend.
I
I'm
did,
asking you to refer to me as Sean Williams. That's all I'm doing, man.
but
And
you.
you're not respecting my wishes, Mark.
You
So I don't
once
know how good of a friend
you
you're being
once
right
asked me not to refer to your
now.
last name.
First off, I it was very conditional. I said if you're gonna say your last name, you can say my last name. But if you're only gonna give your first name, then don't give my last name. That's all I said. Very conditional. One time. Now, how many times have I asked you to say my last name?
Listen,
So you're gonna go off the one time instead of the many? That's cool, Mark. That's cool.
listen. I listened the first time. That's all.
You know what I'm saying? And just ignore the rest of the time.
Listen, this. Listen,
See, that's a
that wish washy shit. Like
that's
that's
not wish washy. I've been on the same shit for
no
about six
no.
months, 7 months, eight
That's
months now, Mark.
no.
Now,
But
if
I'm
you don't want to
saying,
pay attention to that, then that's on you.
I'm
That's not
saying,
wish washy. I've been very consistent.
person would say my name. Don't say my name. Like nigga, this
No,
isn't
no,
Destiny's
no.
Child, bro.
This
I
ain't no
don't
wishy
know.
washy shit.
I don't
You know
know
what I'm
what to
saying?
do.
What it sound like some female shit. You just want it your way,
No,
and
that's
you're
what
not
I'm
gonna
saying.
acknowledge.
No,
You're
that's
not
what
gonna
I'm saying.
acknowledge the rest of the
That's
shit.
what I'm saying. Like it sounds
That's what I'm
like some
saying.
female shit. Like you want it
That's what you
your
sound
way.
like. You sound like some
Okay,
female shit,
okay.
man.
All right,
Look,
bro.
man,
All right,
you
bro.
gonna hold on to that one thing that happened at one time, like
All
a year
right.
ago. That's fine. That's fine. Listen,
Listen.
that really sounds like some female shit, but go
All right, okay, I got you.
ahead.
Sure, sure, sure.
You hold
But
on to that, Mark.
go
If it
go.
makes you feel better, you know what? You know what? Matter of fact, call me whatever you want. If it makes you feel better, Mark, you
Mm,
go ahead with that.
you know what? I've heard that many times from a woman. You know what? It's cool. Whatever. Cool. Fine. Do whatever you want. It's okay. I've
No,
heard
what
that
I'm
many
telling you
times.
is this is how I talk to females. You know what I'm saying? When
I,
you realize that that female ain't gonna change, you know what I'm saying?
look,
But you just accept her for who she is. You just like,
listen,
okay, look, you know what?
listen.
That's a flaw, but I can. But you know what? You go ahead. You do you.
I,
You're good.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? I'll
you do
manage.
you, boo boo. Yeah, I
That
get
is
you.
not
I
what I
get you.
said.
I get you. I
That's
get
not
you.
what I
I
said.
get
What I
you.
said is
I get
do what you're
you. I
doing. Do what you're
understand. I
doing.
understand.
I will
I
adjust. Don't
understand.
worry about it.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? There's no
yeah,
animosity here, Mark. We boys, right?
yeah. No, I've heard it from. Like I said,
But you're
like I
talking to
said,
a man, so I don't understand what you're
I
talking
live
about.
this
Like,
life, but I know the language. It's all good.
you know what I'm
It's
saying?
all
All I know
good.
is I don't know men that hold on to shit for over 8 to 9 months.
Listen,
So
man.
you take that however you want, Mark. You take that however you want.
I
But
I don't know men that say one thing and then go back and mean another. But it
I've
is what
never.
it.
When have I said something outside of yo? If you say your full name, then you say my full name. If you don't say your full name, don't say mine. I just say keep it even. It's been the same story. It's been the same story from the beginning. No flip flop, no wish wash.
Mm,
You know what I'm saying? One day you started saying Mark Holmes.
I've always said Marcos.
Oh boy, I can't wait. I'm about to doctor up these fucking tapes.
You
You know what I'm
gonna
saying?
so you gonna doctor up the tapes? Understood.
No, what I'm
You
saying is
just said that. That's what you
I'm gonna
said.
make a
That's what you
collage.
said.
I'm gonna make a collage of all the times you would introduce yourself as Mark. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna
You
just make a
just
collage. I'm gonna make a
you,
nice little. I'm gonna make a
mm,
nice little video of like you say, because if I bring it up one time, you'll be like, oh, it's just that one time. No, I'm gonna bring them all. I'm gonna bring them all up because you said you yes. Apparently, you've never done it, so
you've
that's
heard
cool.
it. You've heard it here first, folks. You
Yeah.
heard it here first, folks. He's going to doctor up the tapes.
See, you know what I'm saying? But you don't want to ignore the collage of how many times you said it. That's fine.
It's
Go
going to
ahead.
be doctored,
That's what
so
females do. You know
it's
what I'm
going to be
saying?
doctored.
They hear the whole thing, they pick out the parts that benefit them, and they ignore the rest. That's what
Okay.
they do.
All
So
right. Cool.
I'll
All
take
right.
that. I'll
All
take that.
right, man. Listen, I'm just saying you're going to get canceled calling women females, but all right.
No, I call females because guess what? A 16-year-old is not a woman,
Mm.
and a 34-year-old is not a girl.
Mm,
You know what I'm saying? So I generalize and I say female
mm.
because I don't know, like, and I'm damn sure not calling everybody a lady because not everybody's a lady. So you get what I'm saying? Like, there's
Ooh.
titles for everybody. But unless I
Ooh.
know you personally, then I won't address you as a title. I'll address you as general, which is female.
Okay. I hear you,
You know what
Smooth.
I'm saying? But that's fine. If I understand, I'm not out here. I'm not being Jody and shit. I'm not Jody from you're from Baby Boy and shit. Like, I'm not out here. I'm not out here calling unstable creatures and shit. So, like, you know what I'm saying? Ever since that line and Baby Boy, nobody's been allowed to call anybody a female, dog. I blame Tyrese. So,
Okay. I feel you. Listen, man. I hear you, smooth operator. I hear you.
you know what I'm saying? No
But
smooth operator.
but yeah.
Just
Um,
be just spitting facts, you know.
if ever you're bold enough to pull up the tapes, you're going to be embarrassed. But
Yeah.
it's okay.
Okay. Okay. We shall see.
But it's okay. Anyway, man. Uh, how was your week? How was your weekend?
Weekend was straight, man. Enjoyed some family time. The most the most discouraging thing happened. See, I'm gonna take this time to talk about this shit. I know this is off topic, but took the kids to see Peter
Mm,
Rabbit 2. It was actually a good movie, you know, kid shit, dad shit, you know. But my son, after the movie, walking through the hallways, he got all the movie posters on the side. This man asked me, 6-year-old son asked me if I could take him to see Fast and Furious 9.
mm.
Now you know I don't want to see that movie, Mark. But
I saw it.
I'm once again, I said I don't want to see it.
I didn't
But
want to see it, but my lovely significant other, she wanted to see it, and I was excited to take her because I wanted to do something that she wanted to do.
yes, and I get that. So I am going to take my son to see the movie. That's not the point. What I am disappointed in is that my lovely wife won't go with me. She's like, no, you know what? That could be a father-son moment. Okay, I see what it is. Neither of us want to go see the movie, but you're gonna leave me out here in the cold. That's all right. I got you. So
Somebody has to watch the rest of the kids.
mm-mm, mm-mm. Look, we can send them. My mom is supposed to come out and visit. My sister's coming out.
Jess, I
Look,
got your
there's
back.
there's gonna be people to watch the kids, Mark. She just don't want to go.
Jess, I got
That's
your
what it
back.
is.
I got your back. Somebody
Hey,
got to
look,
watch the kids,
that's
man.
cool. You know what I'm saying? Trust me.
You got to
I'm not even gonna lie, Mark. I'm probably gonna have an entire rant on Fast
you got to
Nine.
like a 3 or 4 year old, Doug. So you gotta.
Look, my son is 6. He old enough to know better.
I'm not
But
talking. I'm talking about your daughter. You got a whole daughter that needs to be
dog,
watched.
I got family for that. That's what
Mm,
my sister's for. That's what my mom's for. You know, but that's not the point. All I'm saying is my weekend was good, except for the fact that my son wants me to take him to see Fast Nine. But other than that, my weekend was great, Mark.
yeah.
What
Well,
about you, man?
yeah. Well, I did see Fast and the Furious 9 this past weekend, and man, I just gotta say this. I pray, I pray that that this is the end. That this is over.
But you know it's not the end, Mark. You know it's not
Doug,
the end.
like yo, if you like, I'm gonna say this, bro. If you thought Hobbs and Shaw was ridiculous,
Hey,
like Hobbs and Shaw had a whole black Superman in it, and this is still more ridiculous than Hobbs and Shaw.
look, this is what I'm gonna say. I don't know what format I'm gonna do it in. I think I'm gonna do it on one of my game streams, but I want you to be there on the PlayStation for that, so I can do my game stream. I'm gonna have the voice chat. All that stuff is gonna be live streamed, and I want to have the Fast Nine discussion with you uh, on the live stream. That way we can, talk
Bruh,
about it because I know I'm gonna need to vent after this movie, Mark.
bro,
I know I will.
I watched a movie, and in the movie theater, at one point, I literally laughed out loud and like couldn't contain it. Like couldn't get like the ridiculousness literally made me laugh out loud. Like couldn't contain it. I just was like and
I
like
just
and
I
just
just assumed there's at least 4 or 5 moments where you literally probably stood up like, yo, I'm about to head towards the door.
like
Like,
I just was looking like, wow, this is happening. But I'm going to say this. I will say this, that one scene is not as, like, the scene that you see in the trailer is not as ridiculous as it's cut in the trailer.
You're saying that there was like 10 different ridiculous scenes in the trailer, so I don't know. So
Well,
you're being very vague right now, Mark.
I mean, I could tell you, I could tell. Spoiler alert. Skip 10 seconds if you don't want to hear it. But anyway, um, the um, the the scene, the trailer, the scene where it looks like he catches the car, it's not as ridiculous as the way it's
Okay,
cut. It's not as ridiculous as the way it's cut. I'll just
okay,
leave it at that.
okay, yeah. But either way, definitely, there's gonna be a video or some sort of content coming after me watching this movie. It's gonna happen. But
But
yes,
yeah,
but
dog.
I brought up this topic only to say we will be starting the process of doing our top 10 greatest sports movies ever. So we will start that tonight. We're going to start that with a poll. By the time this episode airs, you will see the poll. You will see the posts about it out. So please engage us on our Facebook page, Instagram, all that shit. Please, give me. We want to hear your opinions on these sports movies.
Yeah, legitimately, we're what we have planned to do is to have is essentially is to ask you guys what what is your top what is your top sports movie, like what's your favorite sports movie in particular categories. We're going to start out by asking about football, but then the eventual thing is to narrow it down to a top 10 list of sports movies all time amongst all categories. So this will be several several parts to this, because first we have to narrow it down through like all the top football movies, the top basketball movies, and then we have to narrow it down to the top movies ever. So so that'll be a fun process to get into. But now let's get into the current process, that is the playoffs and things that are going on in the playoffs. Because right now, outside of the Olympics, there's nothing really, not a whole lot to talk about. I mean, um, there's a there's a lot of expression, I would say, from Americans in the Olympics of how they feel. And I am all for expression, and do what you got to do to get your voice heard. Like, because peaceful protest is exactly that. You're a peaceful protest. So, like,
Mm.
as long as you keep it as that, we're good. I read a post today that said, like, yo, if you have a problem with people peacefully protesting, or like the way that they express themselves at the Olympics, but didn't have a problem with people storming the congressional hall, then
Whew,
like then
man, boy.
then you
Let
got
me.
to look at yourself. So
Yeah, you know, all I know is in one situation, people will say you're being afforded an opportunity by being an American citizen to be at the Olympics and to represent your country. So you need to be grateful. And then in the other instance, they feel differently. But I will tell you this, I also see it as, hey, man, be grateful that you live in a country to where you can do that without being shot dead on the steps. But that's just me, you know.
yeah,
But the people that went and stormed the Capitol do not feel that way. So they're not grateful. They're more entitled about it. So
yeah.
yeah, but
So Um, but yeah, man. So, like I said, we don't have any problems with the way that people protested. So to me, that's a non-issue. Um, um, as far as the Olympics goes,
yeah, no,
but some things that people are making issues of, I guess we'll just start with this. Last night was the Clippers Suns games, and I think we'll start with Jeff Van Gundy.
Let's
people
do it.
people are making Jeff Van Gundy was simply I guess he was sharing his opinion of the league, and people have found the problem with his word choice. Last night he said this was after a particular foul against Paul George, in which there was called a flagrant foul after he was hit in the face. After he was hit in the face by, I forget who did it, but and Paul George was writhing on the floor and all this other stuff. Now, mind you, I all right, I'm gonna keep my opinion out of it first. I'm just gonna give you the facts. Paul George was writhing on the floor, and then Jeff Van Gundy decided to share his opinion. He said, all right, let's. After they called the flagrant foul, he said, all right, this is getting to be too much. The sissification of this league is getting to be too much for me to handle. Um, and people were up in arms because he used uh, sissification uh, as an adjective to describe the way things are going in the league. Um, People have called it problematic speaking. But some people are just saying, all right, here is the old man shouting at clouds again. I mean, and if that's your opinion, that's fine. But others have said that, oh, this is homophobic. This is all types of other things, and saying that this was problematic. And Sean, I'm just going to ask you, uh, how do you feel about Jeffrey and Gundy's words?
Man, okay, so his words speak to the watchers of basketball that are like myself, Mark. Um, it's really, I guess maybe it's like okay, first off, I'll just say I agree with what he's saying. Like it becomes some games you're watching and it is too much. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Especially the way that the quote unquote sissification is being officiated. It's being rewarded. It's being encouraged. It's being it's all of that. You know what I mean? Like it's almost to the point to where the reaction to it is making people want to do it more. So so whether it's acting or not, I don't even care. The fact of the matter is, anytime somebody gets touched in the NBA, they fall to they fall on the ground and they're flailing. They stay on the ground, they roll on the ground for 30 seconds. It's just to me, it's a bad look. Like
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to see my favorite player, and let's be clear, Mark already knows this. My favorite player, my favorite player in the league is is LeBron. So so I don't want to see my favorite player doing that. But my
Mm-hmm.
favorite player does it more than anybody else does. So it's a problem for me. You know what I mean? I don't like that, you know? So it makes the games longer. It feels like there's too much to me it's it's not gamesmanship. It's not it goes beyond trying to just sell a foul. You can sell the foul, and once the whistle's blown,
Mm-hmm.
get your ass up, man. You done. Your job is done. Yo, not even Vladi Divac would flop around for that long. You know what I'm saying? He just gets the call and goes back to business. You know, um, but yeah, I agree with everything that Jeff Van Gundy said. But like for me personally, it's just to me it takes away from the respect that I have for the talent that the players bring, and that becomes a problem I think it will become a problem on a major scale, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, we'll see how it goes. But Jeff Van Gundy is 1,000% right. The the language that he used, specification, I don't have any problems with it. But the thing that I really have a problem with the most is the people calling it homophobic. So for them to say that it's homophobic, it's to me the issue is this. Um, it, the sometimes the the LGBTQ community. I'm just going to specifically speak about the gay community, but that whole community as a whole is like, hey, do not put me in a box, do not label me, do not assume anything about me based on my sexual preference or who I identify as. Right? It's a big part of that community. So they will fight to say that, hey, man, not every gay person is feminine. Some of us are masculine, So you fight for that. So you can't then turn around and say that sissification only applies to gay people and say that it's homophobic. And that's where I have a problem with the detractors that are attacking him. You can't have it both ways. You can't say that it's completely 1,000% targeted to gay people. He's saying it to a straight man. So presumed straight man, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So with that said, it's like, okay, you're nitpicking now. He's talking to a straight man and calling him a sissy, which by definition has nothing to do with all that stuff. So with that said, I understand if somebody takes it out of context and hears it, they could go down that route, but knowing the entirety of the situation, I just don't understand how they can take it there. But it's Jeff Van Gundy. He's gonna say what's on his mind. I appreciate him saying what's on his mind, and I think this is much ado about nothing, Mark.
All right. Well, kind of took some of my points, man.
My bad. Go ahead.
I don't like it, but
reiterate it. Like it.
But listen, the thing is, like if you look up the word sissy, the definition of the word sissy, as of now, it means a person regarded as effeminate or cowardly. Now, you could say, well, calling someone effeminate, calling a man effeminate is a way of saying like, oh, that he like is. You could try to draw the line and say that he's that's a homophobic thing to say about a man calling him effeminate, but is it truly saying effeminate is more so saying traditional feminine qualities, like this is someone that, and not all gay people have that, so to say
exactly
to say that is like
you're putting gay people in a box.
Yeah, if you're putting gay,
that's what I'm saying.
You the defender are putting a gay person in a box,
in the effeminate box,
by saying, oh, you said sissy, so you're trying to call him gay. No, I'm not. I'm calling him cowardly, and I'm calling him someone that's not standing up for himself. And because here we go. Here are synonyms for sissy: coward, weakling, crybaby, baby, softy, chicken, milksop, mama's boy, cupcake, things of that nature. These are all things that you could say. It has nothing to do with being gay. So, it has to do with you. I'm calling you soft. I'm not.
Yes.
I'm saying that you, if you got hit in the face and you're falling on the floor, writhing for 5 minutes, then dog, are you okay? Are you going to die here? What's going on right now? Can you pick yourself up? Is that all right? These are the things that, so it's not necessarily, to call it homophobic is out of line.
Yeah. So for me, if Paul George, if we knew that Paul George was gay, I would absolutely understand all of this, and I would have no problems with the outrage. But from what we understand, he's straight. So I don't understand what the
But
problem
no,
is.
even
You know what I
but
mean?
see, my thing is, even if he was gay, like what I'm saying has nothing to do with the fact that he's gay. It
Yeah,
has everything to do with his actions. Like his
yes,
act.
but one could presume that hey man, you wouldn't say that about a straight man.
Yes,
And
I.
that's
But
it.
yes, I would. Like
You would as an individual, Mark. I understand you, but you would. What I'm saying is, as a public, as somebody who probably doesn't even watch the NBA, that's responding to this, I could understand how you could jump to that conclusion. I understand how a lot of people jump to a lot of conclusions. This is not one of those situations. Like even in a stretch, I don't see how this makes sense.
but I feel as though
You know,
it is a. I feel as though it is a cowardly act.
it
To
is
do all
like
the right. Like that's where I want to get to it this way because there's more to what I want to say about Jeff Van Gundy. I feel as though Jeff Van Gundy is like he's towing a line that's in some regards is bordering on ridiculous. Like I get his point because Paul George on one hand is ridiculous for laying on the ground flop and staying there and all that shit. But on the other hand, if the ref wants to call it a flagrant foul, then that's fine because guess what? Slapping someone in the face isn't common. That's not a common foul. So if you hit if someone got hit in the face by a hand
well,
by an open slap
okay. This is what,
it's
and
like
this is what I will say, Mark. This is my only argument to that. There's a reason why they have technical fouls because it's somewhere in between a regular foul and a flagrant.
right.
Flagrant legitimately means like if he got slapped in the face and they call it a flagrant, that legitimately means by definition
That the
that
dude had bad intent.
he walked into him and he cocked his hand back and just slapped him, and that was his intention. It's
Right.
the intent. A flagrant foul comes with intent, and that's
Right.
where I think he felt like it shouldn't have been called a flagrant. Is he didn't feel like the intent was there. You know,
Okay.
he said he was there trying to make a play, and it happened. You
Okay.
know, like we know the difference between somebody going for the ball and in the heat of the moment with the speed of the game, and it turns into a slap in the face. And we know the difference between that and somebody seeing that the ball is in the general vicinity,
Right.
and I'm just gonna swipe as hard as I can at this man's shoulder. Like we know the difference between a technical foul and a flagrant foul, you know. And I feel like this should have been a technical foul.
Oh, now
But
that's fair.
but either way, the 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 way that he felt offended by the flagrant call, I thought was over the top because you know if it should be a technical, then flagrant isn't too far off. You know what I mean? But
Right.
he was literally saying that it should have been. He said
It was a common foul. He called
said
it up.
yeah. He said it was a common foul. Like yo, hey man, he made a play. You got fouled. Get up, go to the free throw line, shoot your 2 free throws. That was his comment. So I think he definitely was a little bit, you know, that's the old man talking, man. That's
Right.
the old man talking. So, and it's interesting to me that it always interests me when in any form or walk of life, career wise, when the older generation talks about how shitty it was for them coming up, but then they judge the future generations for not embracing the shittiness that they went through. And it's like, yo, y'all complained about how bad y'all was getting fouled.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You guys talked about how unfair it was. You know what I'm saying? Like when people used to get clotheslined, it wasn't just like it's all in the game. People used to get up and fight afterwards. Like it wasn't, you know what I mean?
Right.
So I don't understand why the older generation of basketball coaches, players, and people around the game in the NBA always want to bring up, where everybody's getting soft. It's like, yeah, you only dealt with it because you had to. Like you didn't want to deal with that. Like there wasn't no badge on your chest when you were going through it. Like,
Right.
no, man, you were upset about it. So I just don't understand that part of it where it's like, yo, that's a common foul. No, it's not. It's not a common foul. It shouldn't be. It should have never, ever been. in the history of the NBA a common foul. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm sorry that the older players had to go through it, but this is not a common foul, man. Don't do that here. You
Yeah.
know?
But also, I want to point out Paul George writhing on the floor and shit.
He did like the whole thing is ridiculous, Mark. The Van Gundy comments, the about it being a common foul, Paul George overacting and selling it, and then the refs calling it a flagrant. I think everybody's wrong in this situation, but that's just me, man. Like in a perfect world, Paul George would have got slapped in his face. He would have had a natural reaction to it.
Right.
The ref would have called it a technical, and Van Gundy would have been like, "Good call." That's what they in a perfect world, Mark. But
Right.
you know,
Well,
it's just it's crazy to me, man.
well, you know what's funny to me is that that's not the only such call that happened in this game.
Here we go.
And the other call that happened in this game, in which a player moved to sell the action, was Chris Paul. In this on this particular play, a screen was set. Um, more than likely, I would say is closer to an illegal screen than anything. But he undercut undercut the defender, Pat Beverly. Pat Beverly was forced into Chris Paul, in a very natural way. Pat Beverly ended up undercutting Chris Paul. Chris Paul on his way down, um, he threw Chris Paul feeling the contact, threw his legs out, ended up horizontal with the ground, hit his back, and bounced off the ground. I'm going to start this one off and say this was absolutely ridiculous. This was like Chris Paul, in the effort to sell this call, could have damn near really ended his season. Like it could have been over because he wanted to sell this shit. Like the dude, like
Yeah.
he bounced off the ground because he wanted to lay horizontal and shit and flail his body about. Um, Now Pat Beverly, on the other hand, once he saw that, he got up and he began to mock Chris Paul, like about him flailing about, which it was kind of in bad taste because you did legitimately undercut him. Like he did,
Yeah.
like he didn't like he didn't do himself any favors by flailing about, but you did legitimately undercut him. Like the flailing about was a little ridiculous, but I feel as though, like, I mean, but that's also like, the frustration of the game and the
Yeah.
character. So,
Yeah.
and the fact that the call was called on him, like, I maybe it was a good idea Chris Paul did it, because otherwise, if the call wasn't called on him, they would have called the illegal screen. Like, so who knows? Like,
let's call it what it is.
it should have been offset.
Pat Bev went to go make a play and he got hip checked
Right.
into into Chris Paul. Let's call it what it is, man. But go ahead, man.
Yeah, but maybe it should have been offsetting calls. I don't know. Like, but I know that what happened, like, was a oversell by Chris Paul that really could have got him hurt. And what's your thoughts on it, man?
Man, okay, so here we go, man. You know, Chris Paul is in my opinion, he is the second largest offender outside of LeBron James himself when it comes to the flopping. But he doesn't really get called out on it, but all the players in the league know about it. You know what I mean? The players know. But the media, maybe it's because of his brother Cliff, that they don't really go after him like that. I don't know.
By
But
the by, he's also one of the dirtier players in the league too.
he's filthy, bro. I'm like I really like some people really take advantage of their good guy image. You know what I mean? And he's one of them. That's why, like, I could respect Bruce Bowen because Bruce Bowen he never portrayed himself to be the good guy. You know what I mean? He never did. He embraced the bad guy role, and you know how much I hate Bruce Bowen, Mark.
I
Um,
think I think I think legitimately Chris Paul, like, goes under the radar because compared to the rest of the league, he's small. So like
I
his
think it's not
antics,
just because he's small. I think it's because, to be honest with you, it's because he's unathletic, Mark. If he had Russell Westbrook's athleticism, he wouldn't go under the radar. But because people see him as undersized, unathletic, and they see all the things he does outside of basketball, he gets a pass for it. But this motherfucker's dirty, dog.
yeah.
Like he's dirty, man. Like that's just what it is, man. So
Well,
Paul, so let me get into the. Oh,
yeah.
go ahead.
No,
Go ahead.
real quick. I've expressed to someone before that I feel as though his constant injuries in the playoffs and stuff has been karma coming back to him every
Oh,
season.
now I'm going to mention karma here, Mark, but we're not there yet. But what I will say is this, man. I'm not gonna lie, Mark. I was hoping that he would have got hurt on that play. Now I don't hope that people get hurt. I'm not one of those people. I don't wish people you'll never see me in a comment section or on video be like, I hope he goes down with injury. Like, I'm not that guy. If I say it, I'm probably joking. But I usually don't even joke like that. But I'm telling you, I'm dead serious, and it's not even a malicious thing.
Listen, you're a liar. You're a liar. I can't let this go because you wished ill will on my players in fantasy like just this past season. Like
That was a joke, Mark. I
but
didn't
you
really
but you say
mean
you
it.
don't joke like that.
I did. I just said if you ever heard me say it, it was probably in a joke, but I typically don't joke like that. That was special circumstance, Mark.
Oh,
But anyway,
what was the special circumstance? Help me
the
understand.
special circumstance is that, you know what I'm saying, I have to beat you because you're going to talk wild shit to me.
Talk
That's the
wild
special
shit to
circumstance.
you. Okay.
Mark.
Talk wild shit to you.
Mark, are you going to refute? Are you going to refute that?
Yes.
Or will you not? Or will you not
Yes.
talk wild shit to me if you beat me in fantasy football?
I would not talk. I do not always talk wild shit.
Oh, okay. Now first you're gonna say no, but then you said not always. Come on, Mark.
Because
We
I
know
gotta
you're gonna talk wild
because I
shit.
gotta be honest. Sometimes I talk wild shit, but not always. Not to the point where it's like,
There's probably a greater chance that you will talk wild shit to me
nope,
in a head-to-head.
nope. I don't know if
You know what?
I don't know if you noticed, but I win games humbly and I move on a lot. It's usually when people like Tobias or somebody say, fuck you, bitch, and then I'll be like, all right, now you're on my list. So
We're gonna get back to the topic, but let's be clear. Tobias wasn't the only one killing me every week when I was on my losing streak that one year, when I had the worst fantasy year ever. You was in there, Mark. You was in there. You wasn't even. It was games where I was even playing against you, and you was going in.
I wasn't even going in. I wasn't going in.
You didn't say anything.
I didn't say anything. I said I wasn't
Okay,
going
then
in. I said I wasn't going in.
What happened, Mark? What happened? You explain to me what happened.
I wasn't.
I'm trying to understand.
I wasn't going in.
How would you describe it? Then,
I would say I would make mention of the fact that you were losing.
Make mention. We off this topic. We make mention. Okay. Hey, by the way, in case you didn't notice, you've been losing a lot. That's not how it went, Mark. You didn't make mention.
That's pretty much how it went. That's pretty much how. Like I'd be like you would say something, and I'd be like, does this guy remember what his record is? What is he talking about?
That's not making mention.
Yes, it
that's
is.
Clowning.
That's
making
clowning.
Mention. No,
that's
clowning.
I'm reminding you that you do not have room to speak.
No. That's not making mention. See, I'm glad that you clarified so that the people can see. You know what I'm saying? And that's something light that you were saying. You were saying heavier shit than that. But that's fine, Mark.
That wasn't me,
Once again, the reason why, I'm going to get back to the shit. The reason why I feel like Chris Paul, I was hoping that Chris Paul would have gotten hurt, is because it would have been a lesson. It would have been a teaching moment for the rest of the league. All these players that want to flop and oversell. I'm not even going to call it selling. They overselling these fouls, man. I want people to understand that when you do this, you put yourself at risk. You know what I'm saying? Like Chris Paul absolutely put himself, he was not, once you get undercut, you're no longer in control. The only thing that you're in control of is how you brace your fall. And he took control away from himself in that situation by doing the damn Liu Kang scissors kick. Like, he did a bicycle kick in the air, Mark. Like, so with that said, he put himself at risk, and we all seen the way he slammed against the floor. Do I believe he would have slammed against the floor that way if he would have just fell normally instead of trying to sell it? No, he wouldn't have hit the ground like that. So yes, in that moment, I was kind of hoping he'd be a little bit banged up, so that maybe it'll teach his ass a lesson and stop doing that shit. And maybe the other people that look around the league and see the examples of LeBron and Chris Paul and all these guys that flop would be like, you know what? I was thinking about it, but now I'm just gonna leave that shit alone. I am not a good enough player in this league to take injury. You know, and know that my job is still going to be here when I come back.
Well,
like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? But I felt like it should have been a teaching moment. It's not going to be a teaching moment now. But with that said, he fell. He got undercutted. He legit got undercutted. The kicking of the legs was a little extreme. Pat Bev saw that. He acknowledged it. I didn't like the way he acknowledged it. He acknowledged it by making fun of it. I get it. Like just let's be real. Like the person that I am that grew up playing basketball in the DC area appreciates everything that Pat Bev did as far as making fun of. But the adult version of me is like, come on, man. Like I thought that he was gonna get attacked. He didn't, which is good. But I mean, it was very distasteful what he did, you know, especially seeing that he legit fouled him.
Yeah.
So yeah, you just gotta eat that, man. You gotta eat that. So, but yeah, man, where I come from, Mark, like maybe it's because when I grew up, like you couldn't call fouls. You couldn't call legit fouls, Mark. I had somebody pull me aside. I was 12 years old. They pulled me aside. I was playing with 18-year-olds, 16-year-olds, 20-year-olds. And I was like what was I? Excuse me. I was like 4'11", but I was nice. I would go to the hoop. I had no jumper. Go to the hoop all the time and score on them. I would get fouled sometimes, body contact. But when you're 85 pounds and you run into a guy that weighs 200 pounds, you're gonna fall. You know what I'm saying? It got to the point where they used to tell me, yo, if you're going to come down here and go to the hoop and come aggressively to the hoop, you can't call foul on us just because it was body contact. They literally told me, you can't call foul. If you call foul, we're not going to acknowledge it. You know what I'm saying? That's the way I grew up. If you was going to bang down low, you can't call ticky-tack fouls. So that's where I grew up. You know what I'm saying? I was 12 when I was playing with 20-year-olds, and they told me that. So maybe my mentality is a little bit different when it comes to this. But yeah, where I come from, we don't respect that.
Well,
so yeah, and I'm talking about I was legit getting fouled hard to where I was falling on my back awkwardly and all that shit. And they just like, yo, man, what you want us to do? We big, you're small. It was body contact. It's gonna happen. What you want? We're not intentionally fouling you. That's what you know what I mean. So they didn't care how hard the foul was. It was just like, yeah, we're not gonna honor that unless you can beat me up. Check ball. Well, so that's where I come from. So maybe that's why I see it differently. But I honestly don't have respect for any of the players in the NBA that do the flopping and all that stuff. If you're nice, you play through the foul, whether it's called or not. Yeah. But real quick, that's the mentality that is the difference between guys like MJ and AI who were able to get a lot of and one plays because they're not relying on the whistle.
Right. Like
you just play through it.
Like for instance, Joel Embiid would be so much of a better player if when he got fouled, if he didn't throw the ball into the rafters and flop all over the place. If he continued through the contact and got the score, he would be so much more of a better player. But every time he gets touched, he throws the ball into the rafters. He's flailing about, and he's already 7 feet. So any motions, you're likely to fall somewhere or whatever like that. Now he is a guy that I do believe, in some cases, causes his own injuries with the flailing about and stuff like that. Like, dog, you're 7 foot. you can't afford to be just falling on the ground all the time, bro. Like you gotta conserve that. Like if you go to the ground, you just it better be an important time. Like you know what I mean? You're gonna be up here out here like Shaq and shit, you know what I'm saying? Needing help up. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So and I'll bring it up. I'll bring up the Ben Simmons situation with him ducking Trey Young because he thought he was gonna foul him.
right.
If you have the mentality of I'm going to get fouled if I go to the rack and I'm not expecting the ref to call it, it changes your whole mentality. It changes your approach. You
Well
would then approach that situation to be like, I know I'm gonna get fouled and I know it's not gonna get
well
called.
the
So I
Ben
need to go
Simmons
harder. Yeah, I need to go harder so I can dunk this. So you know what I'm saying?
well
That's
the
what yeah.
well the Ben Simmons thing wasn't about whether or not he could score. It was his issue was embarrassment. He could he couldn't deal with not making the shot
What
and embarrassing himself.
what I'm
Because
saying is this.
I'm pretty
If you
positive
if
that he
you
knew that
don't
he was going to. I'm pretty positive that he knew he was going to make the shot. But him having an and one, he didn't want to go to the line.
no, I don't believe that, Mark. What I believe is
Okay, I'm
that
trying to tell you the truth.
what I'm trying to say is this. I believe that he had no intention of dunking.
I'm telling I
I believe he had no intention of dunking.
no
Look,
he
if
had
you
no
if
well he had no intentions of dunking, but I'm telling you the
what,
reason why
well, that's what I'm
he's
trying
a
to tell you.
he's
What I'm
egotistical. It has
what I'm
nothing to do with a fear. It has nothing to do with a fear of not making the shot. It has everything to do with his ego about going to the line and not
yes,
performing.
okay, that's different. That's what I'm saying. When you said fair making a shot, I thought you were talking about the shot, not the free throw. But this is my thing though. Once again, it's a mentality. The same mentality that comes with I'm gonna get fouled and I know they're not gonna call it. The reason why the people that believe that, there's two different reactions for that.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reaction of I'm not gonna come down here because I know they're not gonna call it, and then there's a reaction of I'm just gonna go harder. The people that shy away from that are the people that don't have the hunger to win, Mark. The people that have that hunger to win are going to fight through that and say, I gotta make the shot through the foul. In so what I'm agreeing with what you're saying. There is an arrogance that comes with that, and there is a he doesn't want the embarrassment that comes with missing a shot. There is ego behind that, and his ego is not attached to winning or losing. His ego is attached to his own personal reputation on the court. So, but either way, it's all a part of a certain mindset. If he has the mindset of I'm going to fight through this foul, then that shows that he has a mindset of winning. Because guess what? You rather take 2 points than zero. If you go for the layup and you miss it and you get fouled, there's a chance that you miss both free throws. You get 0 points. You know what I'm saying? If you go and you dunk it and you get fouled, who cares if you missed a free throw? You got 2 points out of it. It's still a great, it's still a good possession. So what I'm saying is, it would actually take the pressure off of him, Mark, if he would just go up and dunk it, because it would take the pressure off of him at the free throw line. This is all, like I said, this is all part of a mentality, man. He doesn't care. If he cared more about winning than anything else,
Right.
then that would solve all of his problems. But I don't think winning is the most important thing to Ben Simmons.
Well, no, it's not. But like
So
how he looks is the most important thing, and that's what I'm
yes,
telling you.
yeah,
But
but he
but
doesn't even. It's like he doesn't understand. If he puts winning first, then he won't have to worry about how he looks.
yeah.
But
So
whatever, man. It's something that he's going to have to grow into. What is he, 23, 24? He's going to have to grow into that. By the time he realizes that, Mark, it's going to be too late. But
yeah. Well, but yeah. So but keeping things in the Clippers range, uh, Paul George. So recently, recently I was a guest on an episode of the Wait Till You Hear This podcast, episode 52, um, and in that episode, I was asked about Paul George changing narratives. Uh, changing the narrative surrounded around him um, being like coming up short um, in the playoffs and things of that nature. You know, the pandemic P conversation. Now, in that time, um, I at that time I said, well, I was like, it's great. He's had. I said it's great that he's had good performances in the playoffs before, and he's had up and down performances in which people. So his up and down performances is pretty much standard for him, and these are things that I've
Hmm.
talked to you about in the past, Sean, and that's why I don't believe in it. Well,
Yes.
so and I said that eventually he will come back. He will come back to what people know him as. So I think it. I think he needs more time to show uh, what that he's truly escaping that. Well, he continues. I will clarify to say that he continues to defeat this narrative. Uh, I guess or to poke holes in it or to try to eliminate it rather, because the narrative did have real legs, but
Absolute real legs.
but
Yeah.
now it's starting. But now he is starting to chop it down a little bit. Uh, but I like I said, people it there will always be an opportunity for people to put things back on him because I would thought this was a little ridiculous. What was it? Game I forget what game it was, but the game in which that he missed the clutch free throws that would have helped ice the game. Was
What's
that
that?
game
What's that
one?
game?
Was that game one?
Um,
It might have been game one
I'm
because
not
it was
sure.
that was the alley oop game. Uh, the where Aiton got the alley oop to close it out. So in that
Yeah, that was game one.
yeah, so in that game where Paul George missed the free throws, the clutch free throws, Paul George
Oh,
Paul George had a
hold
good
on, no. Son, Paul George missed crucial free throws. Uh, hold up. Game two. Game
okay
two, not one. Game two.
okay
Yeah.
and so but in that game Paul George had a good game for the most part. He had a
Yeah.
good game. He missed two free throws and people called him Pandemic P because he missed two free throws. Like granted, in the moment, he like he needed those free throws, but calling somebody Pandemic P for missing two free throws and when all by all accounts they had a good game is a little nuts.
Yeah.
Like he came up short. He didn't do anything. He didn't cost his team the game like he has in the bubble or he has in the past. So like I felt as though that was a little bit of a stretch, but this is the stuff that I'm talking about is because people will like you give them a reason to poo poo you, they will grab it and hold on to it and poo poo you. Like you essentially have to do everything right for them to not do that. Like Paul George would have to win this finals to escape the pandemic. He would have to he would have to win a championship to escape the pandemic P thing, or at least like
Be a
average
key contributor. Like he has to.
our
Like
average 40 throughout the
I
playoffs or
was
some
just gonna
shit.
say, whatever he's been doing now
Yeah.
in this series, he would have to continue doing that for the entirety of the playoffs.
Right.
Whether they lose this series or whether they win the series, go and lose the championship series, whatever. He would have to continue his level of play that he's had in this series for the rest of the playoffs for them to even have the conversation. I would say,
Yeah.
of moving away from the pandemic piece shit. So, um, I guess okay. So my response to all that is two things. So You talk about changing the narrative, and for me, this is a step in changing the narrative. The narrative does not change when you have one good playoff run over the last 4 or 5 years. It does not work that way. You know what I mean? At least not for me. And I feel like it's not going to work that way for the general public at all. General public is way harsher of critics than I am. But even for me, I'm like, nah, bro. This is in this is really the most solid series that he's had in
Yeah,
this playoffs.
and
So
I know he embarrassed you in the bubble. You know what I'm saying? Because you believed him in the bubble, and he embarrassed you. So
yeah,
so
not
it's
a proud moment, you know what I mean? But the craziest thing about that was I said, like, he's gonna have his games where he's pandemic Pete. It's cool. But he's gonna win you a couple of games where he goes off. And I was partially true. The games that he helped them win didn't mean shit. And of course, in the key moments when you needed him in the games that they were clearly in a tight situation or down bad, he was nowhere to be found. So yes, he did embarrass me, Mark. He did let me down last year. I did have faith. You know what I'm saying? I had faith in him, and I was like, he doesn't even need to be a guy. He's a number two, and he let me down as a number two. I
and
didn't think
and
like
I have faith in him being exactly who he was.
yeah. So that's fine. But this year, I'll give him credit. I'll give
Yes,
him credit for what he's done this year. He deserves all the credit for
yes,
what
he
he's done,
does.
especially in the spots where he can't hide behind a number one.
Yeah. Well,
He's able to hide behind a number one in OKC. He was able to hide behind a number one last year. This year, Kawhi's on the sideline watching. He can't hide behind a number one, and it's being put on his shoulders, and he's performing. So I give him that credit, but I don't think this changes the narrative. It takes more than just this. Like I said, honestly, I think he has to win the series. But I mean, you can't knock him if he finishes out the series averaging like 35 points a game. Like you can't. So, but the second part of this is you said something about the fans, the people, the media being. You said if you give them even the slightest bit of a reason to poo-poo you, they will. And this is my issue with that because I mean, I don't think the blame goes to Michael Jordan, but it goes to all of the media that covered Michael Jordan. They're the ones who created this situation. They're the ones that go out of their way, and this is the thing. Um, it's the only sport. It's it's the only sport I believe that holds its superstars to the standard of the greatest player to ever play the sport. Nobody shits on a baseball player if they don't hit 40 home runs.
right,
Nobody nobody shits on a quarterback if they don't win all their Super Bowls like Joe Montana.
right,
Um, but in basketball, the sports media is going to be on you if you're not Michael Jordan. If you don't rise to every occasion, if you don't go through the struggles that he went to get your championships, they're gonna ride you. Quote unquote, you're taking the easy way out. Or hey, you came into the league with a team that was ready. Like they're
right,
gonna knock you for everything that doesn't match up to the legend of Michael Jordan. And I feel like this environment has been created by mainstream media and it's been picked up by the fans that and mostly by the fans that idolize Michael Jordan. So I feel like it goes to the point where you said he had a good game.
right.
He happened to miss a couple free throws. It happens. It happens to everybody. I've seen LeBron miss those free throws. I've seen Kobe miss free throws. I People forget that Kobe didn't play good in the game 7 against Boston. And it was excuse me, Bron Artest meta world peace that ended up pulling through,
Right.
pulling the game through. Like people forget. I'm like, yo, it happened to Kobe, man. Like, what are you guys expecting? You know what I mean? I feel like people need to curb their expectations sometimes. So yes, I agree with you. Them complaining about that particular game, I get it because you're just thinking about the times where he's let you down in big key moments. But my personal problem with Pandemic Pete is times when he literally just scores 6 points. He goes 2 for 18 or something like that in a game. Like this isn't that game was not one of those moments. So I agree with you. People are quick to jump on players and kind of just shit on them when they have these moments, not even a
Right.
game, just a moment in the game. And I feel like this is all spawned because of the legend of Michael Jordan, but it's not Jordan's fault. He didn't create this. You know what I mean? It's the media.
Yeah, man. Uh, that's good. That's absolutely true. Well, moving on from this drama, um, you wanted to speak on Trey Young, uh, and his injury and the fact that the game is going on right now, but the fact that he's not in Game 4 tonight.
Yep, I did want to talk about Trey Young. So give me 1 second. Trying to log this time. All right. So yeah, Trey Young. Trey Young is
Oh,
clearly we know that he's not. The Hawks don't have a chance.
well, hold up. Very quickly, I want to say this. The score is 51-38 at halftime, and Atlanta is up. So I'm going to say this very clearly. If Milwaukee loses this game and they don't have Trey Young, this honestly it says a lot about Milwaukee.
Mark, now remember you asked me the question before. Did they win the game or did they lose the game? I'm gonna tell you right now. Milwaukee, if Milwaukee loses, they lost the game. The Hawks didn't win it. I'm gonna be very open about that. All right. So although I do think highly of the Hawks and how they are able to, I believe they're able to play above a level that they're supposed to be playing, or what I expect them to play at. This is not one of those times where the score should be 51-38. No. So with that said, Mark, but
Right.
back to the Trey Young injury. Um, it is a big deal. Um, Trey Young has they said a deep bruise on his foot, and this is what I'll say about it. Two things. Three things. I don't believe they can win this series with Trey Young out. Number one. Number two. Um, Trey Young's injury. I don't know if anybody else in the audience has had a bone bruise, but yeah, I was telling Mark earlier. I fell down the flight of steps when I was 17 years old. Hit every step on basically the weight of my body was through my elbow. Hit every step on the way down, and I thought I broke my arm. Went to the ER. Went to the hospital. Got there. They basically told me I had a bad bone bruise on my elbow. And I'm like, so that's what a bone bruise feels like. It feels like you broke the bone, but it's fully intact. Um, it's terrible pain if you've ever been through it. Mark said he's had plenty of bruised bones, so he understands. I know people that have gotten bruised ribs, and that's one of those bones where if you get a bruised rib, it literally feels like it's broken. So you can't do anything. With that said, I knew he was going to be out game 4. Um, I presume that he might be out game 5 unless they give him some type of shot to withstand the pain. There's a chance that he'll be out game 5. There's a chance that he plays game 5, but he's not going to be the same guy. We'll see what modern medicine says. Okay, and then the third comment that I have is I'm skeptical, Mark, because I feel like I've seen this play out before. I do not trust NBA doctors, Mark. You know this. Um, they told KD he had a calf strain when he had a torn Achilles. But that's just, I'm not going to forget that. So with this said, I think that Trey Young maybe have broken. I think he may have broken some small bones in his foot. Nothing too serious, but I feel like he has broken bones in his foot. But the doctors are not going to say that because they can't clear him to play if that's the case. So they're going to say, and I guess the thing that makes me believe that is the fact that they said deep bone bruise. They didn't say uh, they didn't say a bone bruise. They said deep bone bruise, inferring that it's a really bad bone bruise. But really, all that says to me is it's a possibility. It's a possibility that he has broken bones in his foot, and they're not going to say it until they're completely out of the playoffs. So that's my fear: is that he actually has broken bones in his foot, and the doctors aren't saying it, and they will. Mark, he's gonna play in Game 5.
Mm-hmm.
So, so with that said, yes, I just don't, I don't like the prospect of him playing with a broken bone or broken bones in his foot. But this is the NBA. This is how the doctors work. Um, I, yes, I'm a little bit skeptical about the deep bone bruise, but all I know is if I had a regular bone bruise and if he has a deep bone bruise, there's no reason why he should be playing Game 4 or 5.
Well, honestly, I'm gonna put it like this, man. I've had a bone bruise. I've had a essentially what happened to me once, and I still have, and I may have a piece of bone still floating around in my shin. But essentially, I was running on the ice, coming from gym, coming from the gym, and you know those metal poles that are filled with cement, like to keep cars from like running into a door or some shit like that, like from a parking lot.
Yeah, yeah, them joints would be like 4 feet off the ground, but they go like 12 feet underground. Yeah,
Yeah,
those things are set. Those things follow. Yeah,
yeah. So I slid, like I was turning the corner, it fell, it slid on the ice, and so when I slid on the ice, my entire body like
yep. Couldn't
whipped,
even brace yourself,
yeah,
dog.
like my entire body whipped into one of those metal poles, and like so essentially it was like I leg kicked that pole as hard as I possibly could, and in that, like, I had this massive bruise there, and it was done. Like, you know what I mean? It was done, and it felt like I chipped something off, and
Yeah.
like I kind of like me being an idiot kid and stuff. Like I was like, I can walk and like I can move my foot and
That
shit.
means it's okay.
Yeah, like so.
Yeah.
I was like, I'll
Yeah.
I'll live. And now, mind you, I was limping for about 4 to 5 days, and then like it was excruciatingly painful around that area for about a month. Um, so
Yeah.
and but like I kept doing stuff. Like I kept moving and shit and doing
When you're
stuff.
young, you don't care, man.
Yeah, like
Like,
I kept doing stuff and shit, and like I've had a bone bruise on this on this bone here, like from chopping, like chopping at wood and shit like that. And when I did that, like it felt really painful. Like, but it's like certain shit. That's like, all right, dog. The worst thing about it, I guess this may be just me. But the worst thing about certain things is it's pain. You can't do anything more to it. Like a bone bruise is exactly that. Now,
it's
in Trey Young's case, if this may not be just a bone bruise,
uh, yeah.
but in um but in the case of a bone bruise, you can't really do much more than just pain. So, like, yo, get shot up and get to work. Because like you miss 5 days or 4 to 5 days, but get shot up and get to work. Like, you know what I mean? Just need some pain relievers, dog. Um, but yeah. It's not. They're not that. It's not the end of the world material to where
It-
like
it- and I'll say this: if he does have pieces of bone chipped off, as long as it's not restricting his movement, which,
right,
mind you, I've broken my wrist, and because it's just a bunch of little bones in there. If you
right,
have a chipped off piece floating in there, it could be blocking your rotation, which is what happened to me. So as long as it's not restricting the movement,
right.
oh yeah, they could definitely just shoot him up and say go out there. We'll worry about that shit in off season. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so you're right. It is just pain.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate, but
It's bad pain, but
yeah,
but it's pain nonetheless. You know, it's not a physical restriction. And if you can block the pain somehow, whether it be mentally or medically, then yeah, you can still get the job done. But yeah, Mark, that boy, that bruise, that bone bruise, man. Like I said, my elbow, it was probably a solid 5 to 7 days. Like they ace bandaged my shit up. They put my arm in a sling. Like there's like, is it broken? No, it's not broken. Like, it's school. Is it broken? No, it's not broken, doc. I just gotta wear this for a week and until the pain stops. They don't want me moving it because you know
yeah,
it's just gonna make it worse. The swelling, it's all swollen and shit. Like, no,
yeah. It's
yeah,
it's it's pretty bad, man. But
yeah.
hey, like I said, like it's a give and a take. Like Trey should definitely miss game 4. And if he missed game 5, that I still believe that is fair as well. But on the flip side of that, I feel as though when Joel Embiid had his bone bruise, the amount of time that he missed was absolutely ridiculous. Like, Doug, you got a fucking bone bruise and you're missing like 10 games. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Like,
Enjoying life,
like grow up.
eating cheeseburgers, probably. I don't know what he's doing. I
Nah,
don't know
nah,
what he's doing.
nah. Like honestly, I won't say that because he did a good job of staying in shape this year. He did a
This year,
really
no. Okay, I'll give you that. This year is probably, hopefully, take something from this year. Go figure. Everybody said it before in the past. Hey, Joel Embiid, if he actually took his health seriously, he could be an MVP.
mm.
And that man was leading the MVP race for
Well.
most of the season.
Too bad that he doesn't understand that you actually got to play. And like I think I think his conditioning was a big issue in the playoffs. Like the fact that he wasn't playing games. I mean, we're kind of going off on a tangent, but it's fine. Uh,
Yeah.
the fact that he wasn't playing games as often in the playoffs when they need you, like you should be pulling in certain games, you should be pulling 45 minutes if needed. And the fact that you have to sit, or the fact that you're getting gassed to the point where you can't make a shot because you don't have any energy says like you shouldn't be in that situation.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to put that out there, like you shouldn't be in that situation. But when you find yourself in that situation, the fact that you have nothing to give to your team has a lot to say about your personal conditioning, because KD missed a lot of time and somehow he was giving his team 48 minutes, 53 minutes. And like, you know,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, not every. What I think he needs to understand is not everybody is Shaq.
right,
Shaq can show up out of shape. You know why? Because he wasn't required to move too much, man. And, and then even then, he was going to sit out. He was going to possibly get pulled at the end of the games anyway because he they had to hack a Shaq shit. Like, you know what I mean?
right.
No, everybody's not Shaq though. Like you can't be out of shape. Shaq is the only center that I've seen that is allowed to be out of shape and can make it work. Like I remember Tractor Trailer being being good, being really good, and then just the biggest knock on him was he was out of shape, and guess what? He didn't play very long in the league. I remember Oliver Miller. That's that's one that not a lot of people are going to remember. But I remember Oliver Miller getting drafted by the Suns, and Oliver Miller was another one of those guys who just was an overweight center, but he had skill. Guess what? He probably played maybe like 3 or 4 years. Like he was gone. Like you can't be a center in this league and dominate if you're out of shape.
Right.
That's just what it is. Because guess what? The biggest thing that comes with it, the fear ain't even the fatigue, Mark. The fear is the injury. You're more prone to injury already just being a big guy. So you got to take your health seriously if you're a big guy. So, and he's not skinny, Mark. So,
No. Um. Okay. And now we're going to get into the last two subjects that I think
here we go.
worth
I'm ready.
talking about today. So let's just lead off. I guess we'll do the big one first. Keep it in basketball. Scottie Pippen, and I'm gonna leave it at this, man. What's up with your boy? Is he going see now?
Dog, I don't know if I
Is
call it
is the
senile.
is this a late midlife crisis? Because
Dog, I believe it's a late midlife crisis. I also believe, like, it's like Scotty got too much time on his hands. Like, maybe his old lady was taking up a lot of his time, but now that, like, Future ruined all that shit and they got their divorce and shit,
yo
maybe he got more time on his hands. I don't know what's going on, Mark, but I
yo,
honestly believe. Well, go ahead. What's up?
I legit said to someone, um, I was like, listen, man, the way that he's talking now, I don't even feel bad anymore. Like I used to feel bad that Future like came in and ruined his life and made him a poster child for a simp. Like you know what I'm saying? Like I was like, dang man.
Goddamn Gucci slippers
I was
and
like
Gucci slides, yo.
I was like
Anyways,
he
go
made
ahead.
you a poster child to be a simp and shit. And I used to feel bad for him, but I don't even feel bad no more, man. Like the way he talking and the things that he's saying, I'm like literally looking at him like, yo, I get why your wife chose the streets now, dog. I get it.
That's how bad you get, Mark. That's where we had now. You know, fine. Oh
no,
man,
like
like
I'm like I get why she chose the streets, dog. This is crazy.
I
Like,
will say this. I will say this though. Like, okay, so you asked me if it was a midlife crisis. I feel like it's a combination of midlife crisis, but like you know how like certain people you see them in a certain light, and then you don't see them for a few years, and then they come back, and somehow they're the grumpy old man,
right.
right? Like we seen it happen with certain players, like we like certain former players. We seen them just all of a sudden become the grumpy old man. We seen them, and it always seems like it comes out of the blue. But with Scottie Pippen, it's even worse. It felt like we're watching it in real time of
Right.
him crossing over into the grumpy old man category. Like we're watching it in real time. 2 weeks ago, he was okay. And then now all of a sudden he has a problem with everything tied to youth. I don't know, man. Like
But
so
some of the shit he's saying don't even be making like like it's not even close to factual. Like what the fuck are you talking about?
but
Like dog,
this is what I'll say. We've seen signs, Mark. We saw this coming. Nobody wants to believe it because of Scottie Pippen. That's the real truth. Nobody wants to believe it because of
he's
Scottie
been
Pippen.
doing this off and
He's
on
been
for a long
doing this for
time.
a long time. Thank you, Mark. He's been doing this shit for a long time. Everybody
But
remembers him saying,
but once
"What's
upon a
up?"
time, it like when he was doing it before, it was it was Michael Jordan jealousy based. Like you know what I mean? Like it was his craziness usually was focused around something about Michael. But now the things he's saying is just all over the place.
But I'll be honest with you, man. I don't even think the old shit came from jealousy about Michael. I feel like he's in this weird space. I feel like like his Michael Jordan and LeBron comments have always come from this weird space where, number one, we know how Mike is. He cut off Charles Barkley over nothing. Okay, so basically, he cut off Charles Barkley for the same shit that Pippen's doing now. You make a negative comment about him, about his career in the public eye, and he's done with you for life. We know this. That's why him and Barkley ain't cool like they used to be. So we understand that. So I feel like Pippen tries to toe this line of being cool with Mike and not being cool with Mike. I feel like when he made the LeBron comment before, when he was talking about when he said Jordan was a better individual player, but he thought that LeBron was a better team player. Like when he made those comments, I feel like he was being honest and truthful. But then I feel like he understood that fractured the relationship between him and Mike, and he wanted to go back to it. I feel like all this shit comes from a dependency that he has with Mike. It's not. I wouldn't say jealousy. It's a dependency, man. It's almost like so much of him is tied to Mike's success that he doesn't ever want to fracture that relationship. And then there's times where he just, I don't know, like I'll be honest with you. His comments about KD felt like it was just a lash out. It didn't. I know he didn't mean that shit. There's no possible way he could mean what he said about the KD LeBron shit.
Explain to everyone what he was saying about the KD LeBron shit so they know.
Okay, he said that KD has not surpassed LeBron. I'll take that. He says that KD, the difference between KD and LeBron in that series was KD is such a great scorer, and he had too much focus on his great scoring. He had so much focus on his great scoring that he forgot to be a team player, and he tried to win the game by himself, win those last 2 games by himself, and that's the reason why he lost. He said if LeBron was in that spot, LeBron would have done better in that spot. And I felt like now we've all watched LeBron go to the finals with nothing. And the reasonable people like me and you, Mark, understand that he was never going to win those finals. And we don't hold it against him.
Right.
The same way we looked at what KD was facing in Game 6 and Game 7 and understood that he was fighting an uphill battle that he probably wasn't going to win. So I feel like
you're missing a major part in what Scottie Pippen said.
What?
Scottie Pippen in that particular rant said that LeBron would have done better, and LeBron won a ring with nothing.
Forgot about that.
In Cleveland.
Well, let me address the shit that I'm addressing now before I get to that. So yes. So like what I'm saying is like we understand that LeBron couldn't win his series. He scored 51 in Game 1. We knew he wasn't going to win that fucking series. The reasonable people don't blame LeBron. Like we're not good. We don't hold that against him and be like, yo, he a piece of like, yeah, we knew he could do it. No, reasonable people just look at it and be like, yo, you was fighting a battle that you wasn't going to win regardless. Even if you win Game 1, you probably was going to get swept for the rest of the series. We understand that, okay? And the same thing with KD. We knew that he had no business even being in those games or taking his overtime. We know that. We actually praise him for it. So I think he's being unreasonable in that scenario. He's being ridiculous. And then with the LeBron won with nothing. I was like, maybe he's not remembering it right. Maybe he is senile, Mark. I don't know. Maybe I personally think, like I said, somebody said that there must be crack in the Scottie Pippen burger. Because seeing the bottle next to him when he made his comments about Jordan, which we're going to get to in a second. But I was like, maybe he's just drinking a lot, Mark. I personally think I think whenever he tweet this stuff and whenever he say this shit, he's drinking, bro. He's drinking because he doubled down. When somebody called him out on the LeBron comment about him winning with nothing, he doubled down, Mark. He doubled down on Twitter. I was like, he has to be drunk. Like, it's one thing to be like, yo, I'm just not going to respond because I know I fucked up. Yeah, he did win that championship with Kyrie. Like, no. He legit was like, show me. Yes, I'm talking about 2016. Show me who he played with. I'm like, okay, maybe he's just drunk. I don't know. But I'm going to bring up the Jordan comment. The most recent comment he said something about Jordan being a selfish person, which I don't think anybody's going to argue that. But he said that he felt like Jordan going to play baseball was a selfish move.
Yeah.
that was very self-serving, and he felt like it just fell in line with his personality of being a selfish player that felt like he could do everything and anything by himself. And everybody understands the reason why Mike went to play baseball. Even before Last Dance, everybody knew that Mike's dad was a baseball fan, and he liked baseball better than basketball. Everybody knows that Mike's dad probably wanted to see him play baseball. Everybody knows that Mike went to play baseball because of his dad's death. I don't understand why Scottie Pippen is being fucking disrespectful in saying that he's just an asshole. He's a selfish motherfucker. That's why he went to play baseball. Like, it sounds like you mad you didn't get another ring, Scottie Pippen.
Well, and then not only that, but there's the flip side of that conversation, which is that Michael Jordan was betting in basketball, saying, "Yo, you got to get lost for a little while because this stuff, if you stay, this stuff is going to come out."
But yeah, well, not only that, but Beam, if you go with the conspiracy theories, his dad got killed because of his gambling,
right?
Which I don't know if that's true, but even then, all of these theories have nothing to do with Mike just being selfish,
right?
That's what I don't understand, Mark. So with that said, man, like Scottie Pippen is just on one, man, and if I was Jordan, I would want to fade right now. I would want to fade, but that's just me, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, Pippen. Now this is the thing that I'm gonna bring up because Pippen needs to be careful. Mark, do you think that Pippen would be considered a top 50 player if Michael Jordan never left to play baseball? Meaning, we know the season that Pippen had when Mike wasn't there. Even the season that Mike came in past like game 50 or whatever it was. We know how Pippen showed out. Do you think that Pippen would be considered a top 50 player if Michael Jordan never left him there to be by himself? Because I don't think he would be. I think people had questions about Pippen because they're like, that's great. How hard is it to be the number 2 guy when you got Jordan there? When he's sucking in the defense, he's getting double and triple team. How hard is it to be Scottie Pippen? How hard is it to score? You know what I'm saying? People had a lot of question marks about Scottie Pippen, and they all got answered when Mike left. Scottie Pippen should be grateful that Mike left. But that's my personal opinion. I don't think he would be considered a top 50 player if Mike never left the game. So he's bitching about Mike leaving when it's probably the greatest thing that happened to Scottie Pippen's career.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So that's just me. I feel like Scottie Pippen is out of pocket, out of line with all of this shit. And at this point...
Well, you still haven't brought up his latest faux pas, if you will.
There's another one. Look, the last thing I saw was his comments about MJ in baseball. So there's another one. Please enlighten me, Mark.
Yes, he called Phil Jackson racist.
Oh, I did see that. I didn't read the article, but I did see that. Please tell me the context, Mark.
Apparently, like, listen, this is secondhand knowledge by me because I haven't read the article at this point. At this point, I was just like, all right, I'm done with with like Scottie Pippen talking. But according to secondhand knowledge, Phil Jackson's racist because he wouldn't put the year that Jordan wasn't with the Bulls, he wouldn't put the ball in Pippen's hands. In that final shot, he put it in Kukoc's hands on the final shot, and it's like, dog, Kukoc was a better shot than you, and you know what I mean, and like, so you were mad because you had to inbound, so now your coach is racist. Like, I'm a little confused.
So this is my comment about that, dog. Jordan never complained when Phil Jackson was giving the goddamn ball to Steve Kerr, a goddamn bench player that got like 5 minutes a game. Nobody gave a fuck.
No, like, he did, and Kerr proved otherwise. That he was like, all right, I guess.
No. You understand what I'm saying is Kukoc was already proven by the time he did that. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, we knew that Kukoc was already better than Steve Kerr. Like you know what I mean? Like whether he's better than Steve Kerr as a 3-point specialist and all that shit is different. But Kukoc was already proven. Like, Pippen doesn't win those games if Kukoc, like the Bulls don't win as many games as they did if Kukoc is not there. Let's keep it a buck. So either way, Kukoc was proven enough to where Scottie Pippen should have shut the fuck up. All right, that's what I feel. Remember, Steve Kerr was never part of that fucking team before. He showed up later, and Michael Jordan, yes, he might have complained initially, but it's like, no, he proved himself. He's good. I'm gonna leave him alone. And then Mike started going to him. He didn't even need Phil Jackson to go to him. Mike started going to him. What I'm saying is Scottie Pippen is acting like a bitch. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like if Jordan if he wasn't complaining about Kukoc and BJ Armstrong and Craig Hodges and all these other guys that get 5 minutes a game, if he wasn't complaining about those guys having the ball at the end of games to close out, then Scottie Pippen need to shut the fuck up about Kukoc.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about it, and I feel like Scottie Pippen is just a sensitive guy. He's a sensitive guy that doesn't want to admit that he's sensitive, so he tries to play tough.
Oh,
that's why he's so wishy-washy.
But you know, Scottie Pippen tried to call Charles soft, and like saying Charles will only start fights with people when the ref was around and all this other stuff.
He said he didn't try nobody. No, he specifically said he did. He said that person that he threw through a window was some little scrawny white dude, and those are the only people that he tried to fight. And I was like, are we going to ignore the fact that he's the only person that has come at Shaq? Are we going to ignore that, Mark? Are we just, come on, man. It's just everything that he's been saying has just been absolutely ridiculous. I feel like they're drunken rants. There's no way that he's sober when he's saying these things, Mark. Like, honestly, on some real shit, when I saw his comments about Phil Jackson being racist this morning, I seriously was hoping that he's not on drugs, Mark, like hard drugs. Like, it's not even a joke. It's not a game. I hope that he's not on hard drugs because I'm going in. But I hope he's not on hard drugs because this is hard drug behavior, Mark. Yo, I expect us to see him at some type of meetings or rehab in the next month or two, whether it be alcohol or cocaine or meth. I don't know what he's doing. I don't know what his drug of choice is, but he's doing something, Mark, that's altering his reality.
Yeah. Like Scotty is wild, dog. Like you have never went after anybody. And you talk like period. And like and you talking about Charles. Like, come on, man. You gotta relax, dog. But
dog, the only thing that Pippen ever did, the toughest shit that Pippen ever did was dunk on Ewing and step over him. That's it. That's the only tough guy moment I've seen this motherfucker have. Like, what are we talking about, Scotty? Who are you? I don't know, man. Like, I'll be honest with you. Like, I've heard people, Bulls fans, we know about Darius. We know a few Bulls fans. I've seen Bulls fans over the years that certain ones have just not rocked with Scottie Pippen. And he said he was a whole ass. Well, I'm not going to say the word, but you know what I mean. And I always wondered where it came from. And I understand, okay, there was a moment here. But he really showing his true colors, Mark. I feel like this is the person who he's always been, that he's just now, whatever reason it is, he's opening up and expressing himself now. Maybe it's the drugs. Maybe it's because he saw Kwame Brown. I don't know. But but he's opening up now, Mark, and I wholeheartedly believe this is the person that he is, and this is the person that he's been. So,
right.
Yeah, I don't know. He's on something, dog. He on something.
Okay. Well, lastly, last topic of the evening, we're going to switch to football. Daniel Snyder of the highest share owner of the Washington football team is now making his wife co-CEO of the Washington football team.
You say co-CEO, I need you to be very specific, Mark.
Well, I mean, that's what it says. I don't know how else to say it. She is the co-CEO. She is That means he will be sharing the duties with Tanya Snyder, uh, the duties of CEO with Tanya Snyder's. And so I'm just going to say it right here, man. This is this what you're looking at here. Well, first, before I do that, I'm going to just give you a little bit of the quotes that he said. He said, Tanya has always been my closest confidant and most important advisor, but her role has outgrown such informal titles. Dan Snyder said, the perspective she brings to this organization is invaluable, and I am incredibly proud to recognize it with a fitting title, CEO. So, this is essentially, um, baby, please, baby, please don't leave me, please, please, baby, because if you give me this divorce, I'm gonna lose so much. Like, this is essentially him having to figure out a way to keep her around so that she doesn't take him to the fucking cleaners. Be,
Like,
at least that's my opinion. Be,
Mark, you're not the only person with that opinion. Let me tell you something, bro. So there's two things that this screams to me. Yes, it's the baby, please don't leave. But there's a reason why. There's a reason why she wants to leave him. And I don't
yes,
even think it has anything to do with all the controversy. This motherfucker's been controversial since the day he became the owner. Obviously, I don't know if you remember, but
well,
part of the whole cheerleading thing, he was one of the accused in all
yes, he
this.
was.
So clearly she knows the truth, and she knows that maybe she has some information that we don't know about how true these things may have been. And yeah, so and then you got to deal with the thing because they say what hell hath no fury like woman scorn.
Mm-hmm.
Like she's gonna expose some things, Mark. You know what I'm saying? If he don't fall in line, you know what I'm saying, she's gonna expose some things of what she knows personally. So yes, to save his own ass and to save what he has in ownership and to save his relationship, I feel like yeah, you know, everything about this screams PR, PR for himself in his personal life, and PR for the team. We got all these allegations, sexual harassment, and a toxic. I hate the fucking term toxic masculinity, but there's a serious problem with toxic masculinity in the workplace and all this other stuff. So guess what we'll do, man? We'll just put a female in charge.
Yeah.
You know what? I'll make it my wife. Now, the reason why it's your wife is because you got to save your own ass from your transgressions. So, although it's unofficial and there's no legal bearing to it, Mark,
Mm-hmm.
I think this is very damning evidence in the public eye that he did do some of the things that he was accused of.
Yeah.
So, yes, and I do think this is putting a band-aid on a sliced jugular vein by saying we're just going to throw a female's name out there and make her co-CEO. So the question is, how much power is she really going to have, or is her name just on there to be on there to have a female's name to try to wash away some of the stains that have come from the lawsuits that they've had? Because we also felt that way when they decided to hire the first black, what was it, president of football operations.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I feel like they're in save face mode, you know. So no, I don't believe any of this shit is on the up and up here, Mark. How do you believe any of it is on the up and up?
Oh, I do not believe that, but I have to accept that it's on the up and up because, like, I don't have any true evidence to go against it. But my personal belief is no.
Well,
No,
well,
it's not.
well, this is what I'll say. It's one thing if you hire a woman outside of your personal relationships and hire them or elevate them to the title of co-CEO, Mark.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want the woman that stood by him while he made all these horrible, bad, reckless decisions, and she probably knew about most of them. And I'm not just talking about the cheerleaders. I'm not just talking about the sexual assault and the sexual harassment allegations. I'm talking about the brashness of saying I'll never change the team's name. If you got a problem with it, and you feel like it's disrespectful to Native Americans, F you. I mean, those aren't direct quotes, but that's the way he kind of carried himself. I don't
Mm-hmm.
want the person that stood by him and supported him during those times being the new face, the co-CEO. I don't. To me, that doesn't scream change. So
Mm-hmm.
I that's also what makes me believe that this is damning evidence that he probably did some of the things that he's been accused of. So, man, it's like they can't get the head out of their own ass right here, Washington. So I'm not saying Washington, the ownership,
Yeah.
Daniel Snyder specifically. So, this is the NFL. They're just light years behind everybody when it comes to those type of situations.
Yeah, man. Unfortunately, but this is where we are. It's where we are. But it looks good on paper, so hey.
Yeah, well, but he's smart enough to release this information now before everything starts to jump off. So,
Yeah.
and to be honest with you, the one thing that's going to help him in this scenario is Ron Rivera being his coach, the team actually looking like they have promise, and them looking like they might actually have a quarterback that they can groom for the future. And when I say groom, I mean I told you how much I like Heineke. He's got some years. He's got some years of grooming that he needs to go through. But because they have a promising team and a nice coaching staff, I think all of this will be forgotten by the time the season starts.
Yeah. Well, all right. With that, I think that's it. That's all we got for today, friend. Um, so you have anything else?
Um, Shout out to you for rocking the Purple Rain T-shirt. You know what I'm saying? I like that. I didn't comment on it in the beginning, but and then I got my Nino Brown.
Well, I told you I am my brother's keeper. You know what I'm saying? I said that.
Yeah, yeah, and I do, like I said, I appreciate it. I don't know if the fans appreciate the apparel, but I do.
Yeah,
So
I appreciate that. You know, Prince is my guy, so
yeah,
yeah. So you know, what I mean, I always gotta rep for Prince whenever I can. And when I saw this T-shirt, I was like, oh, this gotta be mine. I gotta get this.
mm-hmm.
So, so I did what I had to do, made a purchase. But
Yeah,
with that being said, man, I appreciate everybody for listening and staying with us up until this point. As always, we will be getting those I guess uh posts out there soon
mm-hmm.
about the sports movies. So um look forward to that. And that's really all I got, man. I'm excited. I'm excited for the football season coming around. We are currently working with Ricky Scott of the Wait Till You Hear This podcast to bring something new that has been near to me for a very long time, um, in the fantasy football realm. Exactly how that's going to play out and what it's going to look like, uh, I'm not sure yet, but this is what I've been wanting to do for since before the eye test. So really excited to bring that out, and so you guys can check that out and see if you would ever want us to do anything like that for your leagues. But um, with that said, man, uh, this is it, and if as always, man, if you fuck with us, we fuck with y'all. So please fuck with us so we can fuck with y'all. All right, peace.